What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's Horror Fan 34, and welcome to another video. And I guess welcome to another collection video. I've done a few of these a lot before. I've done one on Andrew Dice Clay and Bruce Willis and Arnold and Stallone, and I keep hearing noises. I don't know why, but maybe because it's about ready to rain. So maybe I'm hearing the water go against the window. But I figured I'd do one on Denzel Washington. Fantastic actor. Denzel Washington, always was a huge fan of his. And I realized too, when I was going through my collection, I don't really have many of Denzel Washington's movies. I do have a few of them here, but like, you know, some of the ones I don't have, like I don't have like films like The Pelican Brief, or I need to get Philadelphia. I need to get that one. That's a good one that he did with Tom Hanks. But like some of his like newer ones I don't have. Like I don't have like The Manchurian Candidate. I don't have The Hurricane or Deja Vu. I really need to get Man on Fire. That's one of my probably Denzel's probably most underrated movie is Man on Fire. I love that one with him and Dakota Fanning. But other ones, like, I don't have the Equalizer movies, or I don't have Fallen, but I do have a few of his films, and I would say these three, or these six here, are my six of my favorites of his. I put in my top 10 of Denzel Washington's movies. But I figured I'd showcase you guys the films that I have of Denzel. And like I said, Denzel, great actor. Always enjoyed his work over the years. And let's get on to the films that I have of his. First one up here that really got him noticed, it's actually my favorite film with Denzel Washington in it. Glory. Definitely one of my favorite war movies. I know, shout out to Alex. I know this is his favorite war film of all time. And also a big shout out to my good friend Lauren from Lauren's Collection. She's a pretty big Denzel Washington fan. She showed a few of her Denzel Washington films before. She adores Denzel and thinks he's one of the greatest actors, and I wholeheartedly agree. But definitely this is definitely my favorite Denzel film. Denzel, this is the one where he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and deservedly so. This is the first film that really got Denzel noticed, and he does a great job. There he is there. You also have Matthew Broderick, Morgan Freeman, Cary Elwes. Music by James Horner, may rest in peace. Very well directed by Edward Zwick. But yeah, Glory, classic movie. Then we probably get on to another one of Denzel's most underrated films, along with Man on Fire, Ricochet. This is a criminally underrated crime thriller by Russell Mulcahy, who did Highlander, Resurrection, a lot of other stuff as well. Now, the story of this is that you have Denzel Washington plays Nick Stiles, who's a rookie cop, and he used to have this childhood. He grew up with a rough childhood because he was born in the slums in a rough neighborhood, tough streets where he lived in, and he managed to escape the streets of his rough childhood and became a cop. And he has his buddy, played by Ice-T, was his childhood friend, and Ice-T's character ended up turning to drugs and stealing cars and things like that. One night, Denzel ends up capturing the serial killer, played by John Lithgow, and John Lithgow, pretty much, and then like Denzel gets praised on TV, like he was praised as a hero, and John Lithgow hates that. He wants revenge. So basically, John Lithgow's character, the killer, fakes his own death and breaks out of jail, and decides to make a fool out of Denzel. Because Denzel realizes that John Lithgow escaped from prison, but the whole public persona think he's dead. They thought that John Lithgow was dead by now, but little do they know that he escaped prison, but only Denzel knows. And then that's when Denzel has to get his friend Ice-T to help him out, and then Ice-T and Denzel had to team up together to take down John Lithgow. Very underrated crime thriller. Denzel does a great job. John Lithgow just absolutely just steals the show in this as the villain. John Lithgow is fantastic. Ice-T's really good as well. Very well done musical score by Alan Silvestri. But Ricochet is great. Next one is The Siege, which is really eerie watching this now, knowing what would happen a few years later with the whole 9/11 thing. Basically, it's like takes place in New York, and there's like this there's like these people blowing up. There's a bus blows up in New York, and you find out like these military terrorists sort of like people, and you have Denzel as the FBI agent who's trying to stop them, and Bruce Willis is your villain. Bruce Willis right there. And ironically enough, this is also directed by Edward Zwick, who did Glory. So he must have liked working with Denzel so much that they teamed up again to do this. You also have Annette Bening. You have Tony Shalhoub. But yeah, pretty interesting flick, knowing what would happen a few years later, because this is like a sort of like 9/11 feel, because it was dealing with the bombing and things like that. You know what would happen a few years later in New York with 9/11. But Denzel does good, and Bruce Willis, always great to see Bruce Willis. Never getting on to another one of my favorites of Denzel, The Bone Collector. And I say one of his more underrated ones too. I love The Bone Collector. This is the one with a serial killer. One of the more underrated films dealing with capturing a serial killer, where basically you have Denzel Washington plays a homicide investigator, and there was a case that he was on, and he ended up getting paralyzed, and now he's paralyzed. So what ends up happening is that Denzel still works with the homicide people, but he's a paralyzed investigator now, and he ends up teaming up with this rookie, played by Angelina Jolie, to track down this killer that's leaving all kinds of clues behind and things like that. You also have Queen Latifah, Michael Rooker, Luis Guzman, Leland Orser, Ed O'Neill from Married with Children. I always forget Ed O'Neill was in this. Directed by Philip Noyce, who I think did Rising Sun with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes. But very good dramatic performance for Denzel. Very different kind of a role where he's playing a paralyzed homicide investigator. Next one here, John Q. Wonderful drama where basically Denzel Washington's character's son collapses during a baseball game, and he finds out that his son needs a new heart, but he doesn't have enough health insurance or money to cover for the heart, so he ends up taking the hospital hostage to get his son a new heart, and then it deals with the hostages and things like that, and the cops. Great cast of people. You have Denzel does great as John Q. You also have James Woods as the doctor. You have Anne Heche as the main nurse. You have Ray Liotta as a cop who just wants to go in full force, and he's trying to send people in because Ray Liotta's nuts. You have Robert Duvall as the other cop who's more of the negotiator, more the veteran guy. And some of the other people, Eddie Griffin plays one of the hospital patients that's taken hostage. You also have Ethan Suplee from Mallrats and American History X as a security guard in the hospital. This is way before Ethan Suplee lost all that weight on My Name is Earl and things like that. But John Q, wonderful drama by Denzel. And directed by Nick Cassavetes, who did a couple of other films too. And the last one here that I have of Denzel Washington is Unstoppable. which sadly, this was, I think, the last film that Tony Scott directed before Tony Scott unfortunately took his own life, which is sad. Tony Scott always worked a lot with Denzel. He worked with him on Man on Fire and Deja Vu. So him and Denzel must have loved working together, because this was the last time they teamed up together. And yes, that is Chris Pine, way before Wonder Woman. But basically, this is Denzel and Chris Pine, and Denzel Washington plays an engineer, and you have Chris Pine as a conductor, and there's a runaway train, and these two guys have to figure out how to stop this runaway train before it causes any damage. I thought this was just a really well done, fast-paced thriller. I thought these two worked great together. You also have Rosario Dawson in the film, and like I said, I was always a huge fan of Tony Scott as a director. Last Boy Scout, and Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Top Gun. And sadly, this was the last film that he directed, and I thought he did a very, very good job with the film. But yeah, Unstoppable. And that is my Denzel Washington collection. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.